All right. So we just started the recording. I'll be myself on Infinite Loop. I am the community manager of the Turing Way, and this kicks off our round of working group and collaborator shareouts. And I will pass the mic on very kindly to Alex, who is next to me. And we encourage you, while you're at it, we have a link to a notes document in the chat here. We're using the same document that we are for the community shareout, so it might be a little confusing, but if you haven't already signed in, we'd encourage you to do that on line number 40. And for those that are attending the working group and collaborator sessions, maybe it'd be great if you want to add something more about what you're keen to learn more about there too. So I will pass on to Alex, who's sitting right next to me, to describing, or to say, a kind of uncoordinated outfit I'm wearing today. So I am a Asian woman, mixed Asian woman with short hair that I am now increasingly describing as growing into a mullet. I have hoop earrings that I really like and wear probably too often. It's not so good for my ears. I have a corduroy jacket with leopard sleeves and I'd say a multicolored and flowered bandana around my neck. Over to you, Alex.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's lovely to see so many familiar faces here. I'm Alexandra Araujo Alvarez. I am the research project manager for the Turing Way. I am a freckle-faced white woman. Well, freckle-faced woman. I'm having I'm wearing a hairband, and I'm wearing a pink jumper. I am going to pass the ball now to Batul, who I have also on my left.
Hi everyone. I'm Batul Marzouk, research project manager for the MRSF at the Turing. So I am Arab female, wearing purple scarf and dark purple jumper that I stole from my sister. Then I'm going to pass it to Vicky.
Thanks, Batul. I'm Vicky. I'm a community manager at the Turing Institute and a core contributor to the Turing Way. I'm a white woman with chin-length brown hair and a high-neck white jumper, very winter chic, picture 80s ski slopes. And I will pass that to Alden.
Okay, hi, I'm Alden. I'm going to steal freckle-faced white woman. That's a good description, with my not particularly clean blonde hair and ponytail, and a sweater that I would call traffic cone orange in the best way. And I am a senior researcher for research applications here at the Turing. Do I pass to someone on Zoom now?
Yes.
Great. We're done in the room here. It's a large room, but we're all kind of crammed in one corner. I'll pass to Sarah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Gibson, early 30s, white woman wearing glasses and reddish purplish hair that needs another color. And like a burnt orangey zip-up hoodie as well. I've been with the Turing Way for a long while, and I'm part of the infrastructure working group. Yeah, that is me. So I will pass to Alejandro.
Thanks, Sarah. Hi, I'm Alejandro, and I would say mid-30s man. I have like a black t-shirt at the moment, and having my headphones ready are also black, and I have a blue background at the moment. I am a core member of the Turing Way and research fellow at the Alan Turing Institute. And yeah, at the moment I would present something about ETS book and how we've been collaborating together with the Turing Way. So yeah, that's me. Maybe next, Andrea.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andrea Sanchez Tapia. I am talking to you from a corner of my mother's place and my grandma's place in Colombia. I am a white woman with brown hair and glasses, and I am wearing like a college hoodie of the Universidad Nacional de Colombia, the National University in Colombia, which is Alejandro's and my like alma mater here in Colombia, and I'm sipping frantically for coffee from a blue mug. I'll pass it to Cass, please.
Hi, thank you, Andrea. Yeah, so my name is Cass. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a 40-year-old white woman with green hair, and behind me is a screen, and behind the screen is a whole lot of mess. So the screen is the mess shield, and on the screen is a butterfly tapestry that I've done and a little postcard from the town that I live in called Totnes in Devon. I've been and around the Turing Way for a good few years and part of early book dashes, and I'm now part of the core team, and also working on environment sustainability and digital twins. And I will pass, please, to Liz.
I am in New York. I am a middle-aged white woman with straight brown hair pulled back and a red sweater and books on the shelf behind me in my living room. My day job is to study and help breed better working dogs and kind of work on genetics and statistics and stuff. With the Turing Way, I've been working mostly on accessibility, but I'd love to work on some other things also, like big team science and things like that. So let's see, who can I pass it to?
We have David, Jim, Ariel.
Okay, let's pass to David.
Cool.
Hey everyone, I'm David. I'm a white man, a white Spanish man. I'm ginger with a long beard. I have a top knot that is actually not visible, so it just looks like I have very short hair. Some people have seen the back of my head for the first time today. I'm wearing a darkish sweater, which has actually a lot of threaded colors. I'm wearing my blue headphones, and as a background, I have a photograph of the Cooling Hills from the top of one of its ridges. So you see, yeah, a lot of those, and a blue sky, which is weird in the sky, but it happened. And I will pass it on. Well, I'm also a research program manager here at the Alan Turing Institute, especially work with the Data Safe Haven project and the Citizen Science project and various program level things that they like to double on. And I will pass it on to Jim.
Hi everyone, I'm Jim Madge. I'm a research software engineer at the Turing and a member of the Turing Way infrastructure team. I'm a man in my 30s. What's left of my hair is cut very short. I'm wearing a green jumper with a collar, which is about as adventurous as my clothes get. And I'm joining from the office of my home, which is in Exeter and Devon, so actually not all that far away from Cas, although I'm not super familiar with Devon. So I know Totnes is on the train line, but I actually can't remember if it's towards Cornwall or if it's towards London. I forgot the most important part. I will pass to Richard.
Thanks, Jim. Well, I just like being recorded on video, and I like consistency. So for the purposes of consistency, I shall remain a mystery with respect to my physical appearance. And I'll pass on to Ariel.
Hey everyone, I'm Ariel. I'm the program manager for tools, practices and systems at the Turing Institute, and I work on a variety of different things in the book dash. I'm camera off at the moment. Unfortunately, I can't stay too much longer, which is a shame, but in my profile picture, you can see a white woman in her early 30s with short dark brown hair and a strong lipstick. And the main thing that's different today from that photo is that my hair is longer than it is in that photo. I'm based in Boston, Massachusetts. And who's not been? Is everyone been?
I think I think it might just be me. Yeah. So you can throw to me, Ariel. Well done joining us for so early in the day. So I'm Kirsty. I am wearing my cozy, warm hoodie and black grey hoodie and black gilet. I'm a white woman. I've taken off my glasses, so I don't know. I don't really like the way I look without my glasses, so I might go and get those now that I'm staring at my picture. And I also have a top knot similar to David that I very occasionally wear down. I can't remember if I said I'm a white woman. I'm 40, and I'm just really excited to hear how the working groups have been going. So delighted to be here. Thanks, everyone.
Great, thank you, Kirsty. This is Anne. I will kind of get us started by maybe circulating a hackmd that's really been a sort of slow work in progress over the course of a week. Really as a difference, really as something that maybe we'll build on throughout the course of this call, as a means of keeping record of just maybe the discussions that we'll just have verbally here today. So while we'll be passing the mic to different working groups and teams within the project, this hackmd that we have shared goes into a slide share mode. And so we encourage each working group as they share updates, and then we'll pass the mic to some folks to share some verbal updates. We have set up so that you are able to share it as a slide, but the slides are also readable as a rendered markdown file as well. It's really all an experiment, so hopefully we'll see how things kind of go during our meeting collectively today. But this really is a means of sharing, I think, some of the updates and projects that folks have been working on really all across the community. And because so often, especially as the Turing Way has expanded, it's gone in so many different directions and everyone's working on so many different things that often we forget to kind of take a pause and go, wow, was a lot, and that is a lot, and everyone does incredible work. So this is an opportunity to really talk about that and to share that and to celebrate that as well. So maybe just to get us started, in this hackmd, we have kind of a list of some updates from the translation and localization team. And then we have the infrastructure working group, and we have some verbal updates that we can share from the accessibility working group. And then we have with us, very luckily, two folks from two working groups that were active over the course of 2022, as kind of planning for how we might archive some of those practices too. We know that it's a lot to get through in the next 25 minutes. So we'll see, and we'll do what we can here. But hopefully this is just a chance to get everyone together. So with that, how about I pass it to the translation and localization folks?
Sure, I will speak today, but Batul is here and she's like super active and you can talk to her anytime. Should I share a screen or we can be in the hackmd? I will just say that the translation and localization team is co-led by Melissa Black, Batul Al-Marzouk, and myself, but we have lots of active members. Recently, especially Richie Moluno in the infrastructure, and we have Asma Kajem, and we have Marian Anton in the book dash right now, for example. Let me check. Our recent, oh wait, I lost my slides. Okay, so the team is active, and our key updates are that we have been participating in events. This is ongoing. This happens all the time since we gathered together in 2021. We have an ongoing collaboration with our communities, especially the carpentries, and we have a recent changes in co-leadership. So we welcome Melissa and Alejandro, who is present here, and Camila Rangel Smith stepped down during this year because Alejandro is doing the environmental data science, and we had time conflicts, like how this is one of the things that I will mention, like time availability is one of the barriers that we face. We are proud to have been leading the co-working calls with the carpentries. That's Batul has been super active, Melissa too. And we prepared a blog post series about localization in open science with other communities. So the carpentries already published their post, and ours will be out sometime next week, around the 23rd of November. And other thing that we have been, I'm sorry if there is background noise. We also sent a grant for CS Code Science and Society. It wasn't funded, but it was a nice experience to have, to work together and to have a grant done. And this grant also had like lots of collaboration from other members of the team. So Kirsty was there, Alexandra, and were there, Malvika too. We have been struggling with time for advancing the translation. We have some discussions advanced, but actually the progress of the languages is not something that we can dedicate time to all the time. This is like the main barrier. And for the future in 2024, we are still planning and we want to do it. The translation dash would be like an event that mimics, that has the same mold of a book dash, but specifically around translation. And part of this would be the plans to finish the Spanish version. It's the version that is more advanced. We can definitely focus on Spanish and having a whole version at some point. I have a fellowship from SSI that can help with this effort. And our trouble is with deployment. That is ongoing work with the infrastructure team. As I said, consistency, and maybe we will have to onboard and offboard people soon after that translation batch. I won't read the links, but they are in the following slide, which is you can put like control like a bad zoom, so because it's there, but the slide won't show it.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea. Maybe Batul, should I pass the mic on to you if you have anything else to share from the slides?
No, actually, she went through everything that we've added together, like in the Hakim datas. I think, but just when it was rendered as a slide, not everything was rendered. But just but she already have discussed and mentioned it. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Great. Thank you so much, Andrea. I think that a lot of the things that you highlighted around like time and support, alongside the really exciting updates too, like the grant applications, for example, and like the means to try and get that support to support the time of folks is such a core kind of foundational issue that we're definitely working to address. It's also really sad to see in the updates there's the possibility of you yourself being offboarded, and maybe we can save that discussion for maybe sometime after this call, but also to learn more from y'all within the team. Thank you. Maybe I can pass on to the infrastructure working group, which would be composed of both Sarah and Jim, who are representing their group of folks. And hold up, wait, sorry, before passing the mic to you, Sarah, I have to read out this comment that Batul shared, which is that Bioconductor and the Carpentries are using the documentation of the translation and localization team and their workflow, as in they're using translation memory, governance, and you had a meeting with the Carpentries infrastructure group and Bioconductor. That's incredible. I think we had clapping going on after every single share out earlier today, and that's huge.
That's
and
great.
Absolutely we're celebrating. Truly amazing. We can do a round of questions before passing on to the next group. Kirsty, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much. Amazing work. And Andrea, you said that we're going to focus in on the Spanish language translation, and you specifically said so we could have a full translation. And I sort of, if I was sitting down, I probably would have fallen off my chair that the idea that you have a full translation. So I just was wondering what sort of the definition of kind of, you know, done enough you'd set. All of it is good, to be clear.
We know that there will be always working content in progress, and that there was going to be all the time maintaining like some lag after updating of the content. But definitely we would like to have like advanced session, like to be able to deploy the whole Turing book in Spanish. And this means community building, this means engaging people, this means moving or like lots of energy around. But I think it's the lowest fruit, like having Spanish, having a version in Spanish, even if it's a version from that will be outdated, like quickly.
I guess what as a sort of idea that I have in my head, but it's okay if it doesn't end up being the right one. It feels like because the full book is always a moving target, like as in we've just created new chapters this week, right? So it's always changing. I wonder if there's I don't know, something like 10 chapters, some number that's kind of not horrific but sort of manageable, that's the target of these are the ones that we really want to make sure that we focus on. Is that a use? I just feel if the goal is to kind of have the community translate the whole Turing way, that's just going to feel really overwhelming. But I don't know, what's your approach to it? Anyone can answer.
I know that Batul and Asma, for example, they chose, there's a priority for chapters, but we have given like lots of liberty for each language team to choose their priority. So maybe, for example, the community handbook is not the first thing we would translate. Maybe I am the kind of person that would translate in order, but I understand that other people who are translated, maybe they have like some key chapters that they would have in Spanish. And I would like to have like, even if it's partial, like whole chapters translated, not like 73% of a chapter and then 62% of the other. But we can discuss this prioritization later. I know it sounds overwhelming, but I think I am like all or nothing. Otherwise, it's going to be like that, like 53.5% of parts of the book done. And the timeline, I know but yeah.
Batul, I just saw your hand go up before Sarah.
Yeah, just to echo what.
Oh, you have to.
Okay. Just to echo what Andreas mentioned, basically, we do have priority and urgent sort of list because we need to, so some of document need to be localized and translated to be able to deploy the book, like the landing page, for example, because some people might jump and go like to the middle of the book and leave in like the landing page or the welcome page. So there's like essential sort of files that need to be translated. And so we have different level of priority. Some of them there's flexibility within the language team themselves, but some of them not really a lot of flexible just because it needs to be translated first to be able to deploy a minimal version of the book. Just mentioning that. Sarah, I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah, I'm probably getting like a little bit ahead of the game here, but Jim and I have had conversations around. So the way translation is working at the minute centralizes English as the default, and all of the languages are translations of English. And some of the tech I was looking at this week enforces that as well, whereas you need a default language. Okay, it doesn't have to be English, but there's one that is centered, and then like you create special files that when you build translates. But because crowding commits translated markdown files to a branch, which then actually, like, I don't think Jupyterbook/Sphinx actually has to do anything special with, because they are markdown files. They can just be built. I'm wondering if there's a path forward for contributions that begin in another language and are committed to the crowding branch or wherever the crowding branch merges to as markdown files, so that they can all be rendered together, so that like a new chapter in English, a new chapter in some other language, and translating a chapter from language A to language B are all equal contributions. That is something I'd be quite interested in to see, like how crowding and the infrastructure reacts if we like dump a new markdown file in that hasn't gone through the translation protocol, but is actually in the correct language.
Batul, I know that you have your hand up, but I'm actually just due to time, maybe going to move us on to the next group. And I think that question, maybe we have Alex that has been taking notes that will flag for when we have the wider kind of core meeting as well. It's a really, really good point and really shows kind of a gap in like the contribution workflow or enabling folks to make contributions across languages and kind of back and forth between them. So definitely going to flag that, but just due to the time, I have to be the one kind of taking us forward. So I'm going to pass the mic, actually, funnily enough, back to Sarah, but with a different hat on.
Yeah, so the infrastructure working group. I don't know if the slides are going to come up, but I got like what I wrote. I also think there's like a load of stuff that I forgot to put in here. So Jim, if there's anything like glaringly missing, interrupt me, please. But I think like the key updates from like this year is we moved the Turing Way to its own GitHub organization. Yeah. So that means that we've got a lot more flexibility about, you know, creating teams to like represent working groups or different facets of how we want to work together that are now accessible to us, which is amazing. And then I think the next thing that is kind of like emerging as the thing we're talking about most and probably people want to happen like next is splitting apart the repository, because it is a behemoth. You know, just from all of this history and being within the Alan Turing Institute's GitHub organization. So yeah, moving the project is something we're really proud of. Something we've struggled with again with like Andrea. I've written the capacity to fulfill our dreams. The infrastructure team are all very busy, and I think infrastructure in particular needs deep focus. To like sit down and like think through debugging things, because it can be very low level and complicated. And I think the working group with its current members and their current commitments struggle to actually move things practically forward. We talk a lot, but then no one has the time to like sit down and implement. So if anybody is interested, even at like just tell me what to do and I will do it kind of level, please do come and join us in the infrastructure channel in the Slack group. We'll be very happy to say like, do this and I will review it. But we sometimes struggle to find the time to do the doing part. So yeah, 2024, the thing we're excited to start thinking about is teasing apart the main repository into many repositories. So maybe there's a book repository, and maybe each working group has a repository. We're not super clear on exactly how we're going to tease this apart yet. So if you have thoughts, opinions, if you're like, my group really needs this repository, there's a link to the issue where we're discussing that in these slides. Please come and give your opinions. Yeah. And also we've been working on a very long time in the work has been this external module for pathways. So this is a different way of rendering the book. So instead of just seeing like the book with everything, you're instead greeted with a landing page with a persona. And behind each persona is a curated list of sub pieces of the book in a reasonable order that would like lead through, you know, a research software engineer. Jim has just extracted that Python package from the Alan Turing Institute organization into the Turing Way organization. So if you're interested in helping us maintain that, especially because the infrastructure team didn't build it to start with, we all need a bit of onboarding and a bit of help making sure that continues to run. I don't think it's merged just yet, but it will be merged soon. So yeah, I think that's everything I wrote down in the slides. Jim, is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think that's everything.
We have labs and snaps for you all.
In the way.
Thank you so much. I'll open up the floor here to to anyone who might have any questions for you all. It's also been a hugely productive year. I mean, I can say for myself, for all the folks that have been working with our new repository, it's been a big, or new organization. It's been a big shift, and it's really incredible to see this kind of expansion of the project more broadly too. Alejandro, on to you.
Thank you for those updates and really congrats for having now the Turing Way organization. I just wonder more about the ideas that you have in mind in the like emerging repositories that people or community will contribute. You have an idea, you will have a kind of guidelines, how can people create repositories or something like that inside, or how it's gonna be connected with the core repository, or maybe you have that already in the discussion?
I think we have it a bit, but I also think that's a discussion that needs to happen beyond the boundaries of the infrastructure working group. I like to think of our working group as being like, okay, the best way to implement an idea. But what you're really alluding to is contribution guidelines, and I don't think we should be developing those in isolation. So yeah, I think, so I know that you can do like a lot of really cool org level stuff in GitHub now, such as like shared code of conducts and contributing guidelines like across the whole org. I think we also will need to develop some kind of guidelines of who can create repositories, what kind of repositories, are there criteria for, you know, do they need like a certain number of maintainers or whatever. But I don't think that's something that the infrastructure working group should develop in it as a silo, really. I would love to see that be like a community effort, and then we go and implement.
It's definitely something that we flagged in the notes as something that we're gonna think through in 2024, especially,
Yeah, sorry, it just occurred to me. We do have like some indication of like the very first repos that we will create, which are basically subfolders from the core project. So for example, sorry, Anne. So like there's lots of folders regarding previous workshop materials. So that will naturally, very naturally lift out into like a workshop repo or something like that. But scope beyond that, I don't think we've thought about too deeply, other than we assume a working group would want one to keep their notes in.
Great, thanks, Sarah. Yes, definitely the process of splitting what we already have definitely sounds like the right approach. We can talk more about how to expand that process of like reporting that splitting off in the wider community. Definitely after the course of this call, we're taking note of it. Thanks so much. I know that time is really escaping us. We have 13 minutes on the clock, or 12 minutes now. So in the interest of time, I'm going to move on to Alejandro next to tell us a bit more about the environmental data science book and the various kind of strains of environmental related collaborations that he's been working on with the Turing Way.
Hi everyone, this is like just quick updates about like the stuff that we've been working in the environmental data science book and how we've been like maximizing collaboration with communities, especially Turing Way. And we'll mention something about Pangeo that is more like geoscience community working open source software. And on behalf of like the team and friends that collaborate on this initiative, and for you that she's like leading a lot of the fair and infrastructure development of the ETS book, Scott Hoskin, that has been also pushing a lot of funding of this. And yeah, like everyone is welcome to access the front end. That is the one. We also have a GitHub repository hosted at the moment in the Alan Turing Institute. So basically with the Turing Way, I'm very excited about the kind of activities that we run this year. I will mention in the next slide, and as well Pangeo community, we strongly collaborate to some activities in Europe. essentially with some Pangeo members in Europe. And I would like to highlight as well a recent like repository challenge that we run in May, and all these kind of outcomes are like we have like notebooks and as well as blog posts. We have a presentation conference and so on. Like it was very important for our community to have to host this. So I think that we are excited, say, with the Turing Way. We organize these fireside chats about computation, discussion, more the social aspects of digital research, and it was very exciting one. Thanks Anne and Ale to support this discussion with our folks, and we collaborate with the Netherlands Science Center. Carlos was also one of the chairs of this. And after that, we also, we recently as well, co-authored a new chapter about the environmental impact of digital research. So this is under this umbrella that we are very excited, and we are working at the Turing as well. But of course, in this case, with more like broader perspective, not just like digital research. But other stuff that maybe for us was challenging was about computational resources for this repository challenge. But here is the point where Pangeo was a lifesaver, at least for our community, because thanks to this collaboration with Pangeo, they have access to a kind of cloud resources in Europe, and they have a deployment of all these Pangeo open source software ecosystem there, and it was very valuable to run the challenge and have access to people around the world, because we have participants from US, from Europe, and also from India. So I guess imagine having live, like we cannot rely in every one person computer. So we were very lucky to have here the Pageo community involved. And something that I am looking forward in 2024 is like try to foster more the connections about folks working in open movements, in environmental sustainability, whatever this means, not only, as I say, environment sustainability research, but as well impact in other communities, like green computing and all what can be in this term. And that's why in the Turing Way, we have this environmental sustainability Slack channel where we are trying to keep everyone posted about activities, and we are trying to promote activities in this topic. And related to the what we like to support in the coming year, or maybe coming years, because it's very, very far away, is try to have more contributions, notebooks at the moment, because our community is computational notebooks about from R and Julia communities. Essentially, most of the notebooks that we have are Python, and it's because we are using notebooks, the file, and it's Jupyter file, and people from R and Julia are now very keen to contribute to that through Jupyter notebooks. And essentially, there are like templates in Quarto and Pluto that maybe we are aiming to integrate in a kind in the front end in the future, and maybe facilitate that they contribute through this way. And a global community maybe is here where I would like to collaborate with the translation and localization team, maybe translate notebooks, and maybe having contributions in Spanish and translate in the front end in English and so on. So that would be something that I'm dreaming to have in the future. Just to highlight here if you see the image, someone is there, I added the alt test, but essentially we run the climate informatics, and we have amazing people who contribute not only about the challenge in submitting notebook, but also we have some activities where Anne, for instance, she was one of the guest speakers, and she presented about the Turing Way to different folks, and we create our EDS book YouTube channel thanks to that. And this challenge was like a bit team effort. In only 3 months we prepare and we deliver this, and yeah. And basically in terms of like outcomes, I am sharing there the video of the fireside chat, the chapter, and we have a blog post like I authored it, and it was a kind of summary about the importance of reproducibility in environmental science, and it had very positive response. Even we have a contact of people external that was very curious about this work, and they've been trying to contact us to have external talks to other communities about the importance of reproducibility in this particular area of knowledge. And I finally share the kind of slide deck where you can find more details. Yeah, so that's kind of the updates that I have for everyone.
Thanks, Alejandro. That's a huge round of updates. I feel like there are many different questions that we could ask in response to so many different elements of it, because it really seems like every single time we hear about the environmental data science project, the kind of scope and scale of the collaborations that you're doing is growing, which is amazing. I think we have time for a really, really rapid question, if anyone has one, but I know we're really running short of time. Okay. All right, we'll keep moving on. So for the last round of updates, we have the accessibility working group. We have some updates that we shared in the pad that came together over the course of the week, which posted into the HackMD as well. They're listed in both locations. But Liz, we could, as representatives of the working group, we could share a little bit more together. I could pass it on to you first, or get started with kind of the summary that we have written down so far. Which one would you like to do? Oh, I think you might be muted. Okay, go ahead. Is what, at least from what my mom also when I was a kid tell me to go ahead. So really, I think maybe a lot of the summaries that we have from the accessibility working group is really to highlight the kind of on one hand, kind of collaborations that have come out of working alongside folks from Metrocencia, a project that has for a long time collaborated with the Turing Way, but has specifically kind of developed practices of their own and documented work in Spanish around accessibility, and really in the process kind of helped us to think through kind of our broader definition, how we want to discuss and establish norms around how we think and like how we work around what access means in the community. So over the course of the week, the accessibility working group has been reviewing a set of materials around guides for running accessible events, which has really prompted a kind of discussion within the working group over the course of the week. Most of those discussions have happened in the Americas time zone sessions. A lot of the discussions that emerged around the group were around the kind of language that we use within the Turing Way, around terminology that indirectly speaks to how access is defined by different communities and different groups, meaning we had discussions around the medical model of disability goes to the social model of disability, and how the kind of those two operating models really change the way in which you think about what disability means, and therefore access, and therefore the type of language that's used within the Turing Way. And so collectively as a working group, and there's a couple of materials and links that we shared within the HackMD and in the pad. And this prompted a wider discussion how we as a community want to define access, how we as the community working group want to help establish a set of norms for the wider Turing Way community, and what does inclusivity mean for us? So those are really, really big questions, but we kind of established that there are 3 modes that we're doing this, and we're doing this slowly, meaning we're moving at the speed of trust. We're having these discussions within the working group. We're drafting materials to share with the wider community, and we also aim to facilitate kind of discussions where we can talk through these different policies and practices together. So on one hand is the accessibility guidelines, which has been a document that's long been a work in progress, which really aims to establish the norms that we want to establish within the Turing Way. And we realized in the process of reviewing the submission that in that guideline, there should be some references and also guidance around the type of language that we would encourage folks to use. And these are the standards that really we aim to hold ourselves accountable to. And then there's a little bit more about that in the HackMD. And then finally, we have our kind of current imperfect practices that we use within the Turing Way. And that's tied to some early documentation that myself and Alex as the operational team will put into the community handbook and draft as we currently are using them. And then the accessibility working group will go through the process of reviewing and iterating those. And then third is the kind of emergent accessibility guide, which will aim to gather together material really from across the Turing Way project as it exists now. As the accessibility working group would like to draft a kind of initial version of the landing page that really kind of establishes how we want to set an outline for the rest of the chapter as it starts to emerge. So that's kind of the update from the accessibility working group. It's a lot of different directions, but it is very exciting to see, and I think very challenging, because essentially we realized as a community that we want to define access really broadly, access in the sense of making sure that we as a community have created a space and used language that means that everyone can participate, despite any kind of barrier. And using that like application really broadly really extends into all the different working groups and all of the different teams. So despite your technical ability, despite whatever language you want to engage in, despite your internet connectivity, despite any barrier that you might have, we want to ensure that the project is accessible to you. And want to make sure that we can help to draft guidelines that ensure that to be possible. But it is a work in progress to translate that notion that's huge into policies and practices that folks can follow, and discuss that in the process. So that was a lot of the updates from the group, but I really am just summarizing some of the notes that were already shared in the hack committee. Liz, I'll pass it to you if there's anything that you want to close off with.
Sorry, I was on mute. I think you did a great job of summarizing. Sophia has put together a lot of great resources in her chapter on inclusive events. But I think as a community, we have some work to do about thinking about who we're being inclusive for and how we talk about this population.
I think this is the moment when I say that question will be one that we ask in the next core meeting. And that will be something that we bring to another community space where we're definitely taking notes of exactly that question and how we can improve. As you can see from all of the different working groups that we're it's almost difficult to keep track of how much is changing all the time. And I think that question of who are we inclusive to and what do we mean by accessible is a very, very important one. I know we're at the top of time. I'm sorry to stop you there, Liz. It was my fault for making that massive summary of the group, but
it was a great summary. It was a really great summary.
Thanks, Liz. So we are at the top of the hour. I had said before that we will aim to review some of the working groups that have kind of been archived in the past year, but we'll save that for another time. In the meantime, please just give yourselves a round of applause for celebrating the amount of work that has gone into this past year. It's unbelievable, honestly. It's weird how I think over Zoom, like physically clapping your hands sounds so metallic, right? We need to have an audio effect that like amplifies the sound of the clap into a million different claps.
Like emojis, but audio.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Though extremely disruptive for any concentration. So I think to end, if you all don't mind, would we be able to take a screenshot of photo of all of us? Just for the second round. So some folks, well, actually in an earlier session, we all made the cookie emoji because folks were asking if we could pass snacks that have been eaten during the community shareouts digitally. And the answer is at this point, sadly, no. Maybe a protocol will emerge that allow us.
Technology is just not keeping up with our needs.
We can't meme cookies yet.
Unfortunately. So, okay, so I'm gonna do a countdown. Ooh. We have folks that are changing their backgrounds in the meantime. We have maybe if folks would want to describe some of the backgrounds that they're changing their screens to. I am changing mine to the meme of everything being on fire.
Should I change mine so we're not looking like we're in
we have Kersey that has a beautiful like combined rainbow border with a space background. We have Sarah, who's changed hers to a visualization of the Jupiter project that is literally a cartoon comic, the Scriberia hand-drawn image of Jupiter. You have Alden, who's maybe in the mountains somewhere with a misty sunset.
It is, yeah, it's the fog north of San Francisco rolling over the hills. I took this one.
Nice.
Oh, amazing. Great photo. We have David, who's just been calling in from the mountains from the very beginning of this call.
You took the picture, it's amazing.
It's incredible. photo.
Thanks.
Okay. Amazing. Okay. All right. We have Batul, who's now wearing a beret.
I'm laughing.
And Alex, who now is eating a lot of lollipops. All right. Like a photo. Andrea, I don't know if you're still with us.
And Cass is a cat, is a lion?
And Cass now has a tracking image of her a cat on her
We're
face.
gonna take this photo because we're just describing everything's.
All right. Oh, great. Glad to get you here, Andrea. All right. So are we ready to go? We're gonna take this picture and living in a sofa for 3 weeks. Oh no, we love pictures of sofas. All right. All right, we'll go on the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Thanks, folks. Thank you so much. Thanks for being patient, for staying up till the top of the hour. Thank you so much for all of your hard work over the course of the past year. We'll be using this film to archive and to keep track of discussions that we want to continue past this call. But this was really just to say thank you, and you're all incredible and incredibly inspirational. Unlike what my background may indicate, which is everything being on fire. Everything is on fire, but we are not. We are here together. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your days, and see you later at the second community share out, I hope, in T-2 hours.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you, Anne.
Thanks,
Bye.
folks.
Thanks, everybody.
Everyone, great stuff. Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Woohoo!